Hey everybody, we're back putting this project together. So, if you've not been here before, welcome to Creating Hanley. I am Kimberly at Creating Hanley. And if you have been here and you are a subscriber, welcome back, friends. So, this is part 3. Part 3? 3? 3? In a series on how to do this coaster. This is a mug rug or a drink coaster. So in the first video, I showed you how I put these strips onto this foundation. In the second video, it was an experiment on how we did this quasi-log cabin pattern. And we just winged it, right? We didn't pre-cut any strips. We just threw them on here. Watch that video. It'll show you how I did it. Then I told you I was going to glue the batting onto this piece and not this piece. And that's exactly what I did. So I measured with my little measuring tool here, 1/4 inch all the way around. Whoops. Because this block is 5 inches and the batting, the fusible batting, I cut to 4.5 inches. So that means you should have 1/4 inch. Yep, that's 1/4 inch. 1/4 inch from the batting to the top of the fabric, which I do exactly, right? And so you want to do that all the way around. Make sure you measure in several places. And so that's what I did. So it is perfectly all the way around. The reason why we do that is because if you had a batting all the way to the edge when you sew your seam allowance and then you turn it inside out, that's going to be a lot of bulk that we don't want in a coaster. So trim that to the correct size. So basically it's going to be 1/2 inch smaller than your unfinished block. Okay, so if you're making if you want to make a 3.5 inch coaster, then you would make a 3.5 inch block here for your fusible, but your unfinished fabric size is going to be 4 inches. Okay, so it's just simple math. Now, because this is fused on and cooled off, I can use this now. This is just the flimsy for the top. So now this is more firm, stronger. Anyway, we're going to put these two sides together. And again, because they have separate patterns, it doesn't actually matter which way we go. You know, it doesn't have to be super figured out. Right? So, but I am going to put the blue corner next to the blue corner on this side. And it just so happens that this side is green and this side is green. That was a fluke. That was not planned. So I'm going to take advantage of that and use that to kind of color coordinate things. Not that it really matters. All right, now that these are perfectly all lined up, I'm going to put this to the bottom, and this is going to be my sewing side. So I know that I just sew right along this edge. Okay, so I'm going to make sure everything is perfectly lined up, because knowing me, it'll get wonky anyway. So I at least want to start out with a what is that term? Start out with not good intentions, but I forget. I'm sure you guys can figure that quote out. Okay, so take you down to the sewing surface right here. All right, now because I'm going to leave about a 2-inch gap or so to turn these inside out, I'm going to start here and I'm going to back stitch and then turn this corner, go all the way around, and then I'll stop right here and back stitch. Okay, so the thread I'm using is simply white. Alright, here's my back stitch. And remember, remember, I'm just following the batting because I already know that I put it at 1/4 inch. Now, another way that I can check my work, and this is already wonky. So if you're kind of concerned that it might get unwonky, you know, that it might get twisted, you can always throw some pins in here. I tend to not pin, but throw some pins in. And then the other way that I can check, yes, I know if I just follow this edge of the batting, I'll be in the right place. But I also have a mark on my presser foot of where 1/4 inch would be. So I can watch both of those at the same time to make sure I'm in the right place. And again, check your fabric underneath. And this part goes pretty quick, so hopefully this video won't be quite as long as the others. Oops, that didn't mean for that to happen. We're gonna trim the corners off anyway. Alright, now I'm just gonna take a pause here. I know my starting point was here, so I want to end right about here, so I'm okay. Keep going here. Keep on trucking. And then I want to make this corner. And then back stitch. And then take that out. So now this little opening here is perfect for turning this inside out. But before I do that, I want to trim these corners off. So I'm just going to, now you don't want to cut your thread because then you'll lose the integrity of your sewing. There you go. All right, now turn this inside out. Be very careful. That's why we back stitched, so that we wouldn't rip out the threads. But be very careful anyway. And if you have a turning tool, you can use that, which I will grab here in a second. But I believe the term for this part, turning it inside out, is called birthing the fabric. All right, now I'm going to take my little turner tool. I have a couple of these, but I'm just going to grab this one. And then you just pop out the corners. All 4 corners. You want to try to get your corners as square as possible. The right angles, as right angly, as right angly as possible. Without sticking your turning tool through the fabric. You don't want to poke it so much that you rip the fabric. That's pointless. All right, now see, you can't even tell. Those corners that we had at the way edge, they are gone. You can't even tell that we had to add a little extra triangle. It's totally gone. Remember we put the little blue triangle on the blue side? You don't even see it. It's lost in the seam allowance. Totally lost in the seam allowance. So if I bring this back out, you can see that both of these fabrics are blue. That both of these fabrics that meet each other are blue. So that little teeny tiny triangle, completely lost in the seam allowance. You do not see it on this side at all. All right. Now, all the 4 corners are pointed out. And then we just want to make sure that this opening, these little fabric edges are turned under. Okay. Now this part this part might need a little finagling, and I'm going to bring my iron into the project here and kind of give the edge a crisper fold so that it's a little bit easier for me to sew and hold in place. And I may use some now I don't always use water spray, but I'm just going to use that here, a little steam press to make sure everything is crisp. And so far this is what we have. So I have that turned under and I pressed it, so now that is holding its shape. And this is the one side. You can't even see those little corners. There was one here, there was one here, and there was one here. We can't even see those. Those are lost in the seam allowance. And then this is the back, that like quasi-log cabin. What do you think about that, guys? This was the experiment part. All right, now what we're going to do is I'm going to change the thread to yellow. This little yellow, I think I called this a bobbin in a previous video. Obviously, it's not a bobbin. So let's just change this out because this yellow will look nice for all the fabric. And then for this one, I think I might have a yellow bobbin too. Let me go see real quick what I might have. All right, this is my yellow. And so yellow, this might be too bright, but this green might work. Actually, this green is going to be kind of bright. Maybe a blue. So this is, you know, this is a process that you can go through. So let's see what we got in the blue. So maybe make some room to show you guys. So here's a nice looking blue. This might actually work with that, with all these. If I bring this across, I think this is going to be the winner, guys. So I'm going to use this nice cool blue in the bobbin, and then I'll use the yellow for the top stitch. Now, it doesn't really matter which is the bottom and which is the top, right? But I kind of want to make this the top and this the bottom. So this will be the yellow and this will be the blue. All right, let's put these away and thread the machine. So the bobbin goes obviously on the bottom and the yellow goes on the top up here. Okay. And you know I always like to test it first. Oh, I'm going to need to trim this. All right. Now, where is my, here it is, my little leader. Yep. Everything's working right. I can see the stitch line barely in all these, but I know it's working well. All right, so I'm going to start right here on the folded edge first. That is where I want to make sure that the fabric is stitched down and solid. So I'm going to start right here, right at this edge, and I'm going to do a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and then I'm going to back stitch because I'm in the corner here. I'm sorry, did I say 1/4 inch seam allowance? I meant an 1/8 inch seam allowance. I'm doing this really close to the edge here, and I'm double checking to make sure that all the fabric is caught, because if there's any fabric not caught, this will fray from the inside out. All right, I'll just do one more. Okay. Guys, I'm happy the way this is turning out so far. I think this is gonna look pretty nice. I'm hoping this is exactly what the person is looking for, my client is looking for. All right. Good. Okay, so we just want to trim off these extra threads. Now, if you're really fancy, you can pull them through so that they do not ever fray. I'm not being that fancy, but you can see the yellow on the top stitch there and then the blue on the bottom stitch here. Can you see the blue? It's not going to show up so much on the blue fabric, but you can see that, right? Yeah. And then there's the yellow on the top. And then the part where I can't even tell, the part where we pulled that through is right here. So that looks pretty solid there, and like it's not really going to fray. So you can play around with that and to make sure that, you know, if you're giving it as gifts or somebody's commissioning you, or if you're selling these for profit or what have you, then you want to make sure that, you know, this little edge isn't accidentally going to come out after the first washing. Okay, I think we got it there. Now I might do, because these are different, you know what, I'm not, well, yeah, maybe I'll just do some lines. So because these are different patterns, if you want to at some point pre-quilt, so maybe you could like pre-quilt the one side that has the batting on it, and then, well, that wouldn't really work either. If you want to pre-quilt both of them, you can, but the thing is the center will come apart like that. So you probably, I'm just going to make a zigzag, an X. Do I want to do an X? No, you know what? Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do another square. And I'm just following the edge of the fabric, of the thread line that I first cut, that I previously sewed down. That one's a little close. Right. There we go. Okay, so that is how that looks now. And then on the back, that actually doesn't look all that bad. All right, let's do another line in. So all I'm doing is, you can't really see it, but I am lining up the outside presser foot edge to the previous sew line that I just did. And as I'm sewing this, I'm thinking you could get even a little more fancier if you wanted to, and change up the thread color. So if you wanted to do, if you have two different, now you don't have to have two different colors. I just chose that. So I put blue on the back and yellow on the front. Now what you could do is flip it, because all I'm doing is I'm following the previous line. So you can see these sew lines. I just followed, for this one, I just followed this line. And then I made this line, and then for this one I just followed this line, so it's even all the way around. And then you can do one more in the center here, or two more in the center. But if you wanted to, if you have two different colors, you can flip it, flip it, flip it, so it's alternating thread colors. And I might do that on one of them just to make it a little bit more fun and not so, you know, sterile and the same for all of them. So that could be an option too, something to think about. All right, and so there we have it. I'm just going to leave that square open. So there is our quilted mug rug or drink coaster for the summer, sunflowers. All right, guys. So the next project I'm doing to match this are placemats. So stay tuned for that one. Okay, have fun making these. Leave me a comment on what you, or send pictures. Add pictures of your finished product on the picnic table or wherever you use these. And I want to see them in action. All right, guys. So long for now. Have a great one. We'll see ya. Bye.